Thanks, Dr. Paula, and thanks to the Rurals for giving me time. This is the 5th time I've raised the hospital in here, Minister, and I've asked a lot of questions. I've got very few answers. I've put in a lot of written questions. I've got a couple of answers, not many. It's a bit like trying to unravel the secret of Fatima. It's absolute nonsense that there's no transparency around what happened. I've concentrated mostly on the form of contract, which was a joke, and it's why you just had the overruns. But no one seems to be interested in the contract, and you don't seem to be awfully interested in giving answers on it. In one of my answers I got back, I was told that the stage 1, the under the ground, was the detailed design, and so it should have been, and that was fine. The second one, we were told, was based on a bill of quantities, a remeasurable bill of quantities, price, and a preliminary design tender rates. That's nonsense. You can't do that. I'd like to know who's actually responsible for that. Who made that decision? Is there anyone who had to account for it? Was it McCann Fitzgerald advising on it? Was it somebody else on the board that decided? I mean, that question has to be answered by somebody. Why wasn't phase 1 a standalone construct so that the BAM wouldn't have his over a barrel for the second one? Why wasn't that done? Why won't someone answer that question? I don't understand it. I mean, doing the bill of quantities for phase 2, which is all the work above ground, the main work, not doing it on a detailed design was madness. There's just no logic to it, and no one is telling me why. I mean, they say a preliminary design. Was that initial design and feasibility, or was it the developed design? It certainly wasn't a detailed design, but there's no answers there either, right? I mean, the numbers keep going up, so you have no control on it. And you have no control on it because of the format that you've invented and come along with, and no one has been held to account for it. It's absolute nonsense. The Secretary-General of the Department of Public Expenditure was in the PSC last week. He says the bill of quantity is 95% sorted. It wasn't as nuts. It wasn't 95% sorted. He actually said in response to Deputy O'Brien, he says, the complexity of the project meant that it was not possible to set out a detailed design. That's rubbish. He also said the second issue is that we were given commitments relating to the approximate bill of quantities. Given commitments? By who? What kind of commitments were there? Is there anyone going to be held accountable about that? Was there a public benchmarking analysis prior to the tenders going out? I've asked that question a couple of times and no one's answering it. I don't understand why no one's answering any questions. And listen, I mean, I'd like to have 20 minutes. PwC, I've asked, were they independent? How did they get the job? How was it procured? Well, okay, I got an answer back from it, right? And you want to see the answers I got back on it? I was actually told, and you couldn't make this up, it says, prior to commencement, this is the government talking, prior to commencement of the review, assurances were sought and received from PwC in relation to potential conflicts of interest. Wow. It's like asking the fox, will the chickens be all right with him tonight? I mean, if PwC were asked about a potential conflict of interest, there should have been a conflicts procedure process internally in PwC. How did they determine that they didn't have a conflict of interest? Did it tell you? Can we see the minutes of their meetings when they had this meeting? How did PwC give assurances to the state that they didn't have a conflict of interest? Because they had. They actually were partially designed the contract that we're debating about. I mean, why? Just, listen, I asked, another response I got on the lack of independence of PwC. Here's what it said to me. In January 2017, following a competitive tendering process, PwC was awarded a contract for external consultancy services in support of the HSE's programme for health service improvement. The contract provides recounting for expertise to be drawn on as required. Right. Listen, this is a construction project. What in God's name do accountants know about construction? They didn't have to be given this work, right? I mean, this was done on a framework agreement. PwC were drawn out of a framework agreement which had been put in place back in 2017. But this wasn't fit for purpose in this case. This is about construction. It's about what BAM have got up to with the increase in prices. It's about how the contract was done, how it wasn't done. It's construction. PwC are accountants. It's a different area. It was money for friends that PwC got the job. This is nonsense as well. I mean, look at this. There's so many points I want to cover. But I mean, Minister, please, can we get some answers? Why doesn't the government have a go at being transparent about what's really happened? Because nobody is telling us what happened. Nobody is answering the questions I've put to you now over the last 3 weeks. No, I get no answers. It's all been hidden under the covers. We're talking about $500 million being wasted. We're wasting taxpayers' money to the tune of about $500 million, and you haven't a clue where this is going to end up because of the form of contracting you've used, because you've done it all wrong.
Look at the clock.
And McCann Fitzgerald is going to be held to account.
Sorry. Minister.